Workers in Canada are showing us what courage looks like. On August 16th, 2025, Air Canada flight attendants went on strike after months of failed negotiations. They demanded fair wages and compensation for unpaid hours they spend boarding and deboarding planes. Instead of listening, fairly negotiating, or working with the flight attendants to come to some sort of arrangement, the airline ran to the government, which issued a back-to-work order. Right now, those flight attendants are defying that back-to-work order, fighting for what they need: fair pay, fair compensation, and the right to be a union. CPUE's president said it plainly: if it means going to jail, so be it. Compare this, of course, to the 2022 railroad workers' strike, in which the workers fought for sick leave, fair pay, and basic dignity. Instead of bargaining, the same thing happened. The railroad ran to the government, and Joe Biden's administration went to Congress, and Congress imposed a contract on them. The workers faced an impossible choice just like those at Air Canada: defy the government and risk everything, or accept conditions that keep getting worse. It wasn't their fault, and this isn't a condemnation of those workers, but it shows exactly how high the stakes are. And by the way, just because I like to keep taking shots and reminding you of who Miss AOC is, AOC gladly voted to make sure these railroad workers could not use their right to strike and get better conditions. Just a clear point of what progressive really means in her mind. Of course, this is not new, and this video is going to be a little shorter, so if you would like to know more about this, there is a history of labor in the United States video on this channel, so this is just a brief summary of that. But if you'd like to go deeper, the Substack article linked in the description and that video will also be linked. They give you a little bit more of what has actually gone on through the United States in our labor history, because most people don't know how bloody and perilous the United States labor war has been. Of course, the railroad workers' strike in 2022 is not a new thing. The United States has always waged war against labor. The Haymarket Massacre, which is now memorialized as May Day, the Ludwell Massacre, the Heron Massacre. After World War II, during which the Roosevelt administration had to, in fear of a communist revolution in the United States, ceded certain things through the Social Security Act, unemployment benefits, and other things for workers during that time leading up to the actual start of World War II and the United States' involvement. The Taft-Hartley Act was imposed in 1945 by Truman, which made it nearly impossible to form a new union. It made it even more impossible to find a union leader because during McCarthyism, the Taft-Hartley Act was able to identify union leaders who were quote-unquote communist, and since there was no direct definition of communist, it just said plainly communist, this could be anybody. Jimmy Carter's administration continued the war on labor and the war on class, deregulating trucking, slashing wages. In fact, because of deregulating trucking, the Carter administration saw a 27% decline, sometimes as much as 50% in urban areas for truck drivers. The Carter administration was also the first administration to make it to where railroad workers' ability to strike is dampened, to say the least. Carter did the same thing Biden did. He told Congress to make sure a strike couldn't happen. Of course, after Carter came Reagan, and commonly referred to as Ronnie Union Buster Reagan for a reason, Ronald Reagan broke the air traffic controllers, firing 11,000 of them who were striking for better wages and sending a clear message: striking workers can be replaced, and the corporate power is the only power in the United States. Of course, this is false. I've talked about it again and again, but it's commonly referred to as Hume's paradox. The idea is that the corporations have the power because they have the money and the ability to hire or not hire. But that's not true. There is so many more of us than there are of them. In today's reality, wages are stagnant. 40% of Americans carry medical debt. Students graduate with nearly $40,000 in loans. Meanwhile, while there is no forgiveness for medical or student loan debt, there is forgiveness if you're a corporation who destroys the economy. In 2008, banks, auto industries, and housing industries were saved while families lost their homes. During COVID, corporations thrived while essential workers got next to nothing. Nearly $98 trillion in wealth has been transferred from the bottom 90% to the top. This is a class war. Workers are soldiers, unions are our armies, and the stand being taken by Air Canada workers shows us the path forward. The fight ahead is not about race, gender, or party lines. It's about class, it's about survival, and it's about us. We need each other, and we need to start working together to start making a path onward, because it's getting to the point of being too late. There are so many more of us than there are of them. There are so many more of us who can hold hand in hand and face down these people together, but we need to start doing it. Thank you for watching this video. As always, the first link in the description will be for the United States Campaign for Palestinian Rights. If you go to this website, there is a number of things you can do. One of them is to donate, which I do, about $15 every month. Another thing you can do is find organizations within your area working for the Palestinian cause. Things are worsening in Gaza. People are starving. I think about 25 to 28 children die a day in Gaza. And the Israeli government is preparing to enact a plan to displace Palestinians to southern Gaza in humanitarian cities. Please, click on that link and donate. Below that, there will be a link for the Substack, which will be the article that this video is based off of. And below that will be the video talking about the labor history of the United States if you'd like to learn more about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.